Welcome to the Cheating Wife Stories channel. Accident? No. Choice. The empty glass rests on my windowsill, catching the first hint of daylight. A faint ray slips through the blinds and lands on the rim, almost illuminating it from inside. That glass has been empty for weeks. I used to fill it with water before bed, or sometimes whiskey when the night was rough. But now it stands useless, a silent witness, a reflection of everything I believed in. I stare at it, thoughts swirling, and for the briefest second, I wonder if that's all I've become, an empty vessel waiting to be filled by something that no longer exists. I rub my temples, my heart's pounding in my ears like thunder, though the day outside is calm, a slow dawn with a pale sky. I used to find comfort in these quiet moments. You wake before the world stirs and feel as if you've got a head start on life. But that feeling's gone. There's only this ache in my chest, this heavy certainty that something broke and might never be fixed. I whisper into the stillness, half hoping no one can hear me. Rebecca. Her name tastes bitter on my tongue now, and I hate that. Once it was sweet, my wife, my partner in everything that mattered. Now, every time I say it, it's like pressing a bruise. The pain is sharp and fresh, and all too familiar. I feel as if I'm standing over the coffin of the man I used to be, burying him with every new breath. Outside, clouds gather. The forecast said scattered rain. Typical for Seattle. But I feel a storm brewing in more ways than one. My mind whirs back to the night it all started unraveling. Her whisper in the dark, that name slipping from her lips. Ethan, a name I didn't even know existed in her world. A name that shouldn't have the right to exist in our bed. Yet it did, echoing in the quiet, hooking itself into my brain until I couldn't sleep. And then, the DNA test results, for reasons that might seem random to anyone else, but made perfect sense to me when I confronted certain discrepancies in a medical test we'd done. Nothing major, just routine checks that reveal more than they should. Enough to trace certain markers, enough to slam the door on any illusions I clung to about fatherhood, about trust. I look at the empty glass again. I remember grabbing it the moment I saw the final numbers. My hand was trembling, a cold wave spread across my spine. I downed a whiskey shot in a single gulp, and I've left the glass unwashed ever since. A small ring of dried alcohol has settled at the bottom, a stain that won't go away unless I scrub it. But I can't bring myself to do it. It's like a symbol, a brand of my own stupidity. The sky darkens, signaling the possibility of rain. My phone buzzes on the nightstand. I ignore it. Probably a sales call, or maybe my boss checking in about the meeting next week. It might even be her, Rebecca, though she rarely texts first these days. Our marriage has become a silent battlefield. We navigate each other like two armed soldiers, fearful of the first shot. And in a twisted way, I already fired mine. I just haven't told her yet. I pull on a pair of sweats, slip into a faded t-shirt, and head downstairs. The house feels alien, like a stage with all the props in the right place, but no real performance happening. There's a photo on the living room wall, our wedding day. I'm wearing a rented tux. She's in a simple ivory gown. The light in her eyes radiates trust and hope. My own eyes reflect pride, like I just won the greatest prize. I wonder if that man in the photo would even recognize the person I am now. And I wonder if he'd hate me or pity me for what I'm about to do. A memory of her voice creeps in. "Do you trust me?" she once asked, not long after we married. She was smiling, half joking, but there was an undertone that made me realize how deeply she wanted reassurance. Back then, we talk about everything. Childhood dreams, insecurities, old relationships. She asked me that question, "Do you trust me?" I said yes without hesitation. Then she'd ask, "Would you ever leave me?" I said no. Now I want to ask her those same questions, see if she stumbles for answers the way I do. I feel a sudden urge to run, to escape the house and all the memories trapped in these walls. I grab my car keys, slip on some running shoes, and step outside. The wind has picked up, carrying that cool, moisture-laden scent. The neighborhood is still. Not many people out this early. I slide into the driver's seat and start the engine, letting the rumble fill my head. My phone buzzes again. I pick it up this time. The caller ID reads Mom. I stare at it until it stops ringing. I can't talk to her now. She'll sense something's off, and I don't want to lie to her. Besides, she's in Denver, a whole different world, far from this storm. I pull out of the driveway and drive aimlessly. The wipers squeak across the windshield as a light drizzle starts to fall. The sky transitions from gray to a deeper slate, reflecting the anger boiling in my chest. The roads are slick, shining under the sodium streetlights, and I pass a coffee shop where Rebecca and I used to sit on lazy Saturday afternoons. She'd cradle a latte in both hands, leaning close to me, confiding her wildest ideas, her hopes for the future. I wonder if any of that was real, or if it was always just an illusion. Another car passes, splashing water onto the sidewalk. I keep driving, the city around me a blur of brake lights and neon signs. Eventually, I park near the waterfront. The Puget Sound is choppy, whitecaps cresting the surface. Rain intensifies, as if the sky decided to match my mood. I kill the engine and just listen to the patter on the roof. Inside the car, everything is cramped and tense. My breathing is uneven. Flashes of memory. The test results. Indisputable proof that my trust was a joke. Her face last night. Restless sleep, muttering that name again. This morning, the empty glass, mocking me. It's all too much. Then I recall the one time I confronted her, half-heartedly, about some random text I noticed on her phone. I remember how I tried to be casual, but my voice cracked. She just shrugged and said it was an old friend, nothing to worry about. She even joked, "Why are you suspicious all of a sudden? You trust me, right?" I nodded like a fool. Now I see it was all an orchestrated lie. I grip the steering wheel so hard my knuckles go white. Betrayal is an ugly word, uglier when it's real. She betrayed me. It's that simple, that absolute. I want to hate her, but a part of me can't. That part still sees her the way she looked on our wedding day, the way she laughed at my jokes, the way she breathed my name in the quiet moments that followed making love. Maybe that's what hurts the most. I still love her, even after all. A spike of frustration stabs me, and I slam my fist against the dashboard. The echo rings in the small space, a flash of lightning arcs across the sky, followed a moment later by a rolling thunder. The storm is here. I open the car door, step into the rain. It feels cold, a shock to my system, but it also grounds me. I'm alive, despite everything. I stand there, drenched, scanning the water's horizon. The wind whips at my shirt, and the rain runs in rivulets down my face. I taste salt on my lips, maybe from the sound, maybe from my own tears. I'm not sure which. By the time I get home, the day has brightened just enough to paint everything in a dull silver. My clothes are soaked, my hair plastered to my head. I climb out of the car, noticing that Rebecca's car is gone. She must have left for some errand or maybe a morning yoga session, something she's taken up recently. Fine. I don't want to see her right now. I peel off my wet shirt the moment I'm inside. The house feels stale, the air thick with unresolved tension. I head upstairs and shower, scalding hot water pounding into my shoulders, washing away the rain, but not the bitterness. My mind drifts to Ethan Moore, her lover. I only know bits and pieces. A writer, apparently. Some creative type from Portland. She'd once offhandedly mentioned a friend from college who loved to read poetry out loud, but I never pressed for details. I guess that was him. An old friend, she'd said. Right. Steam fills the bathroom, and I let out a groan, feeling the ache in my chest intensify. The memory of his name in her sleep roots at me. Rage grips my throat. I look in the mirror, see a man with a stubble and eyes that have lost their warmth. For a moment, I can hardly recognize myself. My father's voice echoes in my mind. Stand tall, son. Don't let the world break you. He died years ago, and I wonder what advice he'd give me now. Probably something about confronting the truth head-on. But the truth is, I don't even know how to start that fight. I dress in fresh clothes, simple jeans, a button-up shirt, and go downstairs. In the kitchen, I notice a piece of paper pinned to the fridge. A reminder for a marriage counseling session we once scheduled but never attended. The edges are yellowing. The irony is almost laughable. I tug it off and rip it in two, letting the pieces float into the trash can. Then I see a note from her, scrawled in quick handwriting. Heading out. Meeting with a client. We'll grab groceries later. No love you. No apology. Just practicality. That's what we've been reduced to. I step into the living room and pick up my phone. My hands shake as I dial her number. It rings a few times, then goes to voicemail. I hang up. She'll see the missed call, maybe wonder what I wanted. Good. I hope she feels a fraction of the unease that's been devouring me. Sighing, I collapse onto the couch and stare at the ceiling. Water stains from some old leak mar the white paint. My mind wanders again to the day it clicked. The lab results, the horrifying realization that the child we'd planned, the fatherhood I was preparing for, had already been sabotaged by her betrayal. That knowledge should have propelled me to immediate confrontation, but something in me froze, wanting to gather more facts, piece together the puzzle, and figure out how to dismantle her perfect little lie in the most devastating way. Yes, that's the truth. I want revenge. Cold, calculated, silent revenge. I'm not the reckless kid I was in my 20s. I'm older, more methodical, more dangerous in my patience. I won't blow up on her. I won't scream or beg. I'll let the tension simmer. Let her wonder what I know. Let her sweat over every unsaid word. The rain outside slows to a drizzle, tapping against the windows. I hear a car pull into the driveway. My heart drums faster. She's home. I rise and stand by the window, watching as she steps out of her sedan, a grocery bag in one hand, purse in the other. She looks up at the sky, as if gauging whether the rain will restart. Then she heads for the door. I move to the kitchen, adopt a casual pose by the counter as if I've been standing here the whole time. The door opens. She enters, shaking water droplets off her jacket. She looks at me with a mixture of caution and mild curiosity. "You're home," she says, setting the groceries on the counter. "I didn't hear you leave earlier." My voice comes out flat. "I went for a drive." She doesn't press the matter. She never does anymore. Instead, she unpacks the groceries, placing vegetables and bread on the counter. I watch her hands, nimble, delicate, once so gentle with me. A wave of longing hits, mingling with the anger. She glances at me sidelong. "You okay?" she asks, but it's perfunctory. I can see she's bracing for some confrontation, yet not quite sure what it might be about. I weigh my words carefully. I want to ask the same question she once asked me, but not yet. The timing isn't right. Instead, I offer an ambiguous, "Yeah, just tired." Then I walk away. Let her feel that distance. The day drags on in a haze. We rarely occupy the same room. She busies herself with her freelance design work upstairs. I skim through half-finished sales reports in the study. But my mind isn't on figures and graphs. It's on the knowledge that, sometime soon, I'll confront her with everything I've discovered. Late afternoon, the storm resurfaces. Dark clouds swirl in, and the wind howls, rattling the windows. I see her pass by the study doorway, rubbing her temples. Her migraines, no doubt. Good, let her feel something. I remain silent, letting the tension coil. Night falls early under the storm's heavy curtain. Flashes of lightning reveal our living room in stark bursts, like a stage lit by a strobe. Rebecca stands by the window, arms crossed, staring out. I approach quietly until I'm right behind her. She senses me and turns. James, she says, voice tentative. Rebecca. I fold my arms, mirroring her stance. What are you thinking about? She forces a small smile. Just the weather. It came out of nowhere. I stare at her, my anger flaring like the lightning outside. Accident or choice. I echo words in a cryptic way, forcing her to wonder what I mean. She frowns, searching my face, but I don't offer more. Finally, she sighs. It's not always a choice, she murmurs, her eyes drifting back to the window. Some things just happen. I let the silence linger, heavy as thunderclouds. Then I walk away, leaving her with her own thoughts. Upstairs, I find our bedroom lit only by the lamp on her nightstand. The bed is made, crisp and untouched. I think of all the nights we spent here, sharing warmth, whispering confessions and promises. Now it feels like a different dimension, where two strangers go through the motions. I can't stand it. I slip into bed and wait. Minutes later, she comes in, sighs, and sits on the edge of the mattress. Her hair is damp from the humidity. She ties it back in a loose ponytail. James, she starts. I cut her off. Remember when you used to ask me if I trusted you? She stiffens. Yes. Why did you ask? She exhales, uncertainty flickering across her face. Because I wanted reassurance. You know, after we got married, it was a big step. I just needed to hear it. I nod, studying her expression. Do you trust me? I toss her question back in a low voice. She swallows, hesitating. Yes. Of course I do. We stare at each other in the soft glow of the lamp. She's lying. She knows I know. But we're stuck in this dance of half-truths. Finally, she turns off the light and lies down. I do the same, my heart pounding against the mattress. I hear the storm outside intensifying. Another flash illuminates the room, and I catch the outline of her face, eyes staring at the ceiling. It's in that moment I decide I won't wait much longer. I can't keep suffocating in this tension. I'm going to see the final act of this twisted play. The next morning arrives, draped in gloom. The storm has lessened, but heavy clouds remain. I'm up early, pacing the living room. She descends the stairs, hair tousled, wearing a simple sweatshirt over leggings. She looks tired, dark circles under her eyes. Morning, she says softly. I incline my head. I'm heading out again. She nods, forced casualness in her tone. Work? Something like that. I grab my keys. As I pass her, I pause. The question sits on my tongue. Where were you last night in your dreams? What name did you whisper? But I don't say it. Instead, I walk out, leaving her with 1,000 unspoken questions. I drive to a private investigator's office. The sign is small, unobtrusive, just how I want it. I've already paid him to gather what I need. Proof of her meetups with Ethan. The exact timeline of their affair. My phone vibrates when I'm in the waiting area. A text from an unknown number. We have the photos. I clench my jaw and head to the door labeled Jameson Investigations. Inside, it smells of stale coffee and old carpet. A man in a wrinkled suit greets me, hands me a sealed envelope with a neutral expression. This is everything, he says. Locations, times, photographic evidence. We also have phone records from the last month. I included them on a USB. He slides a small flash drive across the desk. My stomach churns. Even though I want this confirmation, seeing it is going to hurt. Thanks, I mutter, slipping the envelope into my jacket. He lowers his voice. If there's anything else you need. I hold up a hand, shaking my head. No, that's enough. I exit, the envelope feeling like a lead weight in my pocket. Outside, the wind has picked up again, swirling leaves in small eddies on the sidewalk. I glance around, paranoid that someone might be watching. But it's just a city morning, people hustling to work, oblivious to my personal drama. I get in my car and rip the envelope open. Inside are several photos. Rebecca, smiling as she meets a man at a cafe. Another shot. They're walking side by side, arms brushing. My heart twists. Then a final photo. They're kissing on a street corner, just a quick peck, but enough to burn the image into my mind. That's my wife. That's her lover. That's my life. Unraveling frame by frame. I tossed the photos onto the passenger seat and gripped the steering wheel. She'd always seemed so sure of her moral ground. She'd lecture me about honesty and loyalty. Now, I see the truth in black and white. A wave of fury hits me so hard I let out a guttural sound, half cry, half roar. I slam a fist against the dashboard again. My vision blurs, whether from tears or anger, I can't tell. Then I remember. She asked me once, "What would you do if I betrayed you?" I'd laughed. "You'd never do that," I said. She just smiled, looking vaguely amused. Maybe she was already lying then. Maybe she knew a side of herself I never cared to explore. I force myself to breathe and wipe my eyes. My phone buzzes again, an update from the investigator. He's given me Ethan Moore's address, some small townhouse in Portland. Another piece of the puzzle. Part of me wants to drive there immediately, confront him, pound on his door until he answers, then watch him squirm. But no, that's not the plan. I have to do this right. The following week creeps by like molasses, each day riddled with tension. Rebecca and I barely speak. She tiptoes around me, sensing something is off but unable to pin down exactly what. At night, I lie awake, listening to her breath. Sometimes it's even, sometimes ragged, as if she's wrestling her own guilt. My rage simmers, threatening to spill over. But I keep it contained. On Wednesday evening, the weather shifts from cool to unseasonably warm, as if the atmosphere itself is in flux. Rebecca mentioned she's meeting a friend downtown. My pulse spikes. I watch her dress carefully. A simple but elegant blouse, slim jeans, and boots. She's making an effort to look good. For me. No, for him. It's nauseating. She lingers by the door, possibly expecting me to ask about her plans. I just nod and say, "Have fun." She drives off. I follow, leaving a safe distance. The sun is setting, painting the sky a dirty orange. The tension in my gut is unbearable. I know where she's heading. I've memorized the addresses from the envelope. Sure enough, she parks near a small restaurant. I watch from my car, a block away, my heart hammering in my chest. Minutes later, Ethan appears, stepping out of a black sit-in. He greets her with a brief hug that could pass as friendly if you didn't know better. But I know better. They enter the restaurant. I wait. It's a dimly lit place, the sort where candles flicker on each table. Romantic ambience. My hands are sweating against the steering wheel. I can hardly see them through the window. Just silhouettes. Time crawls. My mouth is dry, and I run my tongue over my lips, tasting adrenaline. After about an hour, they emerge, talking closely, occasionally touching each other's arms. My nails dig into my palms. She laughs at something he says. Then they walk toward a nearby hotel, slipping into the lobby as if they've done it a dozen times before. For a moment, I can't move, can't breathe. My heart's slamming against my ribs like it wants to break free from my chest. I force myself to step out of the car. My legs feel like lead. The evening is warm, but I'm trembling with cold fury. I approach the hotel, then stop short. What am I doing? If I barge in now, I'll lose the element of surprise. Maybe I'll snap, do something I'll regret. Instead, I swallow the bile rising in my throat and turn away, heading back to my car. But I can't leave it at that. An image forms in my mind of them in a room upstairs, kissing, maybe more. My breath quickens, shoulders tense. This is my wife. I whisper to no one. This is my life. A tear slides down my cheek, but I wipe it away, furious at my own weakness. I slip into my car and speed off, aimless, driving with rage pounding in my ears. The roads are fairly empty. I run a red light accidentally, nearly clipping another car. The driver honks, but I barely notice. My mind is a tornado, swirling with images of them together. I need to do something. I can't just sit at home like a fool. Suddenly, I recall that envelope of evidence sitting in my nightstand. I have all the ammo I need, and I know exactly who to send it to. The next day, I set my plan in motion. Subtly, methodically, I gather financial documents, draft a plan for how to handle a house, the car, the accounts, everything that ties us together. But I don't rush to a lawyer yet. No, that's too simple. Instead, I send the photos, anonymously, to a few key people in her life. Her mother, her brother, even a close mutual friend or two. I enclose no explanations, just the pictures. Let them draw their own conclusions. It's cruel, but I want her to feel the fallout from all directions. She might suspect it's me, but she won't be able to prove anything. Not that it matters if she can. The damage will be done. That evening, she comes home. She's quiet, her movements stiff. I sense she's received a barrage of phone calls or texts from relatives demanding answers. Her mother's deeply religious, if I recall correctly, likely reading her the riot act for her sins. Good. Let her taste betrayal from every corner. I'm in the living room, swirling a glass of bourbon, a far cry from that empty glass I started with. She walks in, her eyes red, as though she's been crying or fuming. She sets her purse down with a trembling hand. "What did you do?" she asks, voice hushed but venomous. I feign ignorance. "What do you mean?" She steps closer, fists clenched. "My mother called. My brother texted me. They have pictures of me with someone else." I take a slow sip of bourbon, letting the warmth burn down my throat. Interesting. Her eyes fill with tears. "Why, James? Why would you send them that?" I tilt my head, letting silence speak for me. Her breathing is ragged, face contorting with shame, confusion, anger. Finally, I set down the glass on the table. It's not empty this time. Still half full, like I'm holding on to something that's not quite finished. "Let's see," I say softly. "You asked me once if I'd ever leave you. Remember?" She nods, tears streaming now. "You asked me if I trusted you, too." I continue, my voice trembling with rage. "I said yes. I was a fool." She tries to speak, but her voice cracks. "James, it wasn't supposed to." "Stop." I raise a hand. "I know about Ethan. I know about all your little rendezvous. I've seen the pictures. I heard his name from your lips at night, and I saw the results from the test." Her eyes widen in horror. She looks like she's about to collapse. I keep going, each word dripping with raw anger. "You never told me I wasn't the father of the child we planned. You never told me you were meeting him behind my back. Hell, you never told me anything." She sinks onto the couch, face in her hands. "I'm sorry," she whispers. I didn't want this to happen." I step closer, my fury blazing. "Accident? No. Choice. Don't feed me that line. You chose this. You lied to me. You humiliated me. And now everyone knows." She sobs quietly, her shoulders trembling. For a moment, compassion stirs in me. I love her, even now, even as the knife twists in my back. But that love is laced with hatred, bitterness. I won't let her off that easily. "Do you love him?" I ask, the question burning on my tongue. It's the same question she once asked me about an ex, years ago. She looks up, eyes swollen. Her lips quiver. I don't know. My laugh is hollow. Great answer. Lightning forks across the sky, illuminating the living room with a harsh white glare. Thunder follows, a rolling boom that rattles the windows. Rain crashes down again, heavier than before, as if the weather mirrors the chaos inside these walls. She tries to stand, but I shake my head, forcing her to remain seated. "How long?" I demand. She wiped her cheeks. "A few months." Her voice breaks. I never intended for it to go this far. I close my eyes, letting the agony wash over me in a wave. But you let it, I say, my voice rough. You let it destroy us. And now you ask me why I sent those photos. Because, Rebecca, you ruined everything I believed in. You took my trust and trampled it. She opens her mouth, maybe to say she's sorry again, but I hold up a hand. Don't. I hiss. Don't you dare. I'm finished listening to apologies. Hours later, the storm passes, leaving behind a howling wind. The living room is dim, shadows flickering from a single lamp. She's upstairs, probably in bed, crying her eyes out. I'm sitting on the couch, the half-full bourbon glass resting on the table in front of me. The reflection of the lamp glints off the liquid. My hands won't stop shaking. A battered sense of triumph collides with heartbreak inside my chest. I humiliated her, the same way she humiliated me. Now her family knows. There's no going back. I stare at the glass, remembering the earlier emptiness of its twin. Was this who I wanted to become? Some vengeful husband, destroying the woman I love because she destroyed me first. I stand, pacing the living room again, stepping over the scraps of my marriage, metaphorically scattered across the floor. I recall how she used to ask me, "Would you ever hurt me?" I always said no, meaning it with all my heart. Yet here I am, delivering the deepest cut. The irony tastes bitter. A sudden pulse in my head reminds me of my father's funeral. He taught me about honor, about being a good man. Is this honorable, or have I become something else entirely? But the memory of her face pressed against his in those photos, the knowledge that she gave herself to him, erases any guilt I might feel. She asked for this. She made her choice. I climbed the stairs slowly, each step echoing in my ears. The door to our bedroom is ajar, yellow light spilling into the hallway. I push it open. She's sitting on the bed, eyes swollen, hair disheveled. My heart clenches. I loathe how I still care. She looks at me. "Where do we go from here?" she whispers. I let out a shaky breath, leaning against the doorway. "I don't know," I admit. "But I do know this. I can't pretend anymore." "I won't." She nods, sniffing. I understand. A part of me wants to console her. Another part wants to lash out again. The push and pull tears me apart. I settle for silence, stepping back into the hallway, letting her deal with the wreckage. She tries to speak, but I close the door on her words. The next morning, she's gone. No note, no explanation. Just an empty bed. I feel a strange sense of relief. Maybe she went to a friend's house or a cheap motel. Maybe she drove to Portland to find solace in his arms. The thought makes me sick, but at least I don't have to face her right now. I spend the day calling lawyers, exploring my options. The house is half in my name, half in hers. We have joint bank accounts, mortgages, credit cards, every aspect of our life entwined. Untangling it won't be easy, but I'll do it. If I have to scorch the earth to free myself, I will. But I also realize I'm not the same man I was. She taught me a cruel lesson. People are capable of monstrous things when their hearts stray. And I guess I'm no better, orchestrating her humiliation. My phone rings multiple times. Friends or relatives wanting the scoop. I ignore them. Let them gossip. Let them talk. Rebecca is the star of that show now. Afternoon slides into evening. The clouds thinning, revealing a pinkish sunset, a sign of better weather tomorrow. I close the blinds, not wanting to see beauty in the sky when there's none left in my home. That's when I hear the door open. I stiffen, heart pounding. She walks in, hair disheveled, eyes red, an overnight bag slung over her shoulder. For a moment, we just stare at each other. The air is thick, suffocating. "I had to think," she says, voice hoarse. I nod once. "And?" She closes the door, sets the bag down. "I have decided to move out. I talked to my mother. She's furious with me, but she agreed to let me stay until I figure things out." A stabbing pang in my chest. So that's it. She looks at me, tears brimming again. What do you want me to say, James? I did a horrible thing. I hurt you in the worst way possible. I know you can never forgive me. And after what you did, sending those photos, I don't see how we can salvage any of this. I open my mouth, but no words come. She's right. There's no going back. I step aside to let her pass. She heads to the bedroom to grab more of her things. I remain in the living room, leaning against the wall, feeling an odd numbness. Moments later, she reappears, bag heavier. I'm sorry, she whispers, tears rolling down her cheeks. I really am. I lock eyes with her, letting all the pain flood to the surface. I love you, I say, voice trembling. I still do, but I can't live with a lie. She nods, swallowing hard. I know. We stand there, two broken people in a silent house that once felt like home. She moves toward the door, hesitates, then steps out. The door closes gently behind her. No slam, no final outburst, just the faint click of the latch. Then nothing. I slump onto the couch, my head in my hands. Outside, I hear her car start. My chest feels hollow, like something vital has been ripped out. This is what I wanted, right? A clean break, a chance to punish her for betraying me. So why does it hurt so much? Why do I feel like I just strangled the last shred of love in my life? The day fades into night, and I don't bother turning on the lights. I sit in the dark, remembering everything. Our wedding, our shared dreams, the laughter. Now it's all ashes. The final step is the divorce. Let the lawyers handle it. I'll sign the papers and walk away. She made her choice, and I made mine. Maybe, in time, the scars will fade. Weeks pass. My revenge plays out as planned, each step a mechanical process, dividing assets, shutting down joint accounts, returning wedding gifts or stowing them in boxes. Her mother calls me once, ranting about how I destroyed Rebecca's reputation. I let her speak, then calmly hang up. My sisters call from Denver, worried about me. I tell them I'm fine. I'm not, but they don't need to hear my torment. I go to work as if everything's normal. I close deals, lead conference calls, even earn a performance bonus. My colleagues notice I'm quieter than usual, but they assume I'm just stressed. No one suspects the personal hurricane ravaging my life. Sometimes I slip into the restroom just to breathe, because it feels like the walls are closing in. At home, the silence is overwhelming. I fill the empty glass with whiskey most nights. My father's old wallet lies on the table, a reminder of simpler days, a ghost of who I was. The final twist of the knife arrives when I receive a letter from Rebecca's lawyer, confirming the divorce petition and requesting an uncontested settlement. I read it 3 times, each word sinking deeper. I set the letter aside, stare at the empty glass, and wonder if I truly won or lost. One afternoon, the clouds thin, giving way to the brightest sunlight we've had in weeks. It's almost cheerful, a stark contrast to my mood. I stand by the living room window, reading the lawyer's letter again. My phone buzzes, a text from an unknown number. We need to talk. Ethan. A jolt of rage flares through me. I have no idea how he got my number. Maybe Rebecca gave it to him, or maybe he found it some other way. For a moment, I consider ignoring it. Then curiosity and anger push me to respond. Say what you need to say. Almost immediately, he replies. Not by text. In person. I snort. Bold move, especially after the havoc he's caused. I type back. Why would I want to see you? He responds. Because we both care about her. My blood boils, but I can't deny a flicker of interest. Does he think we can fix this? Or is he just looking for some twisted closure? After a moment, I type. Tomorrow, 3 p.m., edge of the pier by Pike Place Market. Don't be late. He agrees. My heart pounds. I toss the phone on the couch, trying to steady my breathing. The sun hits me in the face, like mocking warmth. I close the curtains, plunging the room into semi-darkness. Tomorrow. This should be interesting. The next day, I leave work early, navigating the crowded streets near Pike Place. Tourists gawk at the stalls of fresh fish and flowers. A busker strums an old guitar, singing a mournful tune. The sky is a hazy blue, no storms in sight, but my inner turmoil rages on. I find the pier, scanning the people. Then I see him, Ethan Moore, the man who took my wife, or at least had her for a while. He's leaning against the railing, looking out at the water. He's not as tall as me, but he carries himself with a certain artistic flair, hands in his jacket pockets, hair a bit messy. He turns when he sees me approach, eyes tense. "James," he asks tentatively. I nod, stepping closer. "So, you wanted to talk." He sighs, turning back to the water. "I know you hate me. I don't blame you. But Rebecca, she doesn't deserve this level of destruction. You're punishing her more than necessary." The surge of anger. "She betrayed me." I growl. "Is that not enough reason to punish her?" He flinches, but meets my gaze. "I'm not excusing what happened. It was wrong. But she's tormented by guilt, and you're fueling it, turning her family against her." Her family turned against her on their own. I snap. "I just gave them the proof." He exhales. "James, you had every right to be angry, but you need to ask yourself if this is who you really are." He hesitates, voice trembling. "She's been in touch with me, but things between us, it's not what you think." I bark a harsh laugh. "Oh, I know exactly what it is. Don't play me." He shakes his head. "You don't know me at all." Then more quietly, "I loved her, once. We reconnected. It was stupid, impulsive, but she was lost, feeling something missing in your marriage." I grab his collar, rage searing my nerves. "You don't get to lecture me on my marriage." He raises his hands in surrender. "Look, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This affair was a terrible idea. But I never wanted to see her destroyed. I just wanted to reconnect. And yes, we had a physical relationship, but I never tried to take her away from you permanently." My grip tightens, and for a heartbeat, I consider throwing him over the railing. Then I see a flicker of genuine regret in his eyes, and I release him, stepping back. My chest heaves with anger. People glance at us, but no one intervenes. A gull screeches overhead. Ethan rubs his neck, eyes filling with a resigned sadness. "I'll leave her alone," he murmurs. "I can't fix what we did, but I won't make it worse. She belongs to you, if you still want her." I shake my head, a bitter laugh escaping me. "Do I still want her? She's not some possession." He nods slowly. "Right. Look, I just wanted you to know, if she calls me, I won't answer. I'm stepping away. That's the least I can do." I stare at him, a war raging inside me. Finally, I nod. "Fine." We stand in tense silence, the wind ruffling our hair, the water below glimmering under the midday sun. Then he turns and walks away, leaving me alone with my swirling thoughts. When I return home, I find a letter from Rebecca in the mailbox. My heart thuds painfully. I open it in the driveway. It's brief. "James, I'm filing for divorce. I realize there's no undoing what I did. I hope you find it in your heart to move on someday. I'm so sorry for everything. If you want to talk, you know my number. Rebecca." I fold the letter carefully, the edges cutting into my palm. The emptiness in my chest expands, threatening to swallow me. So this is how it ends, on paper, in official stamps and signatures. For a moment, I recall the day we said, "I do." The way she looked at me, tears of joy in her eyes. The memory is a dagger. I toss the letter onto the passenger seat and head inside. The house is quiet, as usual. The empty glass is still on the windowsill. I walk over, pick it up, stare at it. A shard of morning sunlight pierces it, throwing small rainbows across my hand. I close my eyes, feeling a tear slip down my cheek. Then I hurl the glass into the sink. It shatters with a sharp crash, shards scattering everywhere. My chest heaves. I'm done. I whisper, unsure who I'm talking to. The divorce process unfolds quickly. We sign documents, exchange final words through lawyers. We don't see each other face to face except once, at a mediation session that feels more like a funeral. She tries to meet my eyes. I keep mine down, shame and anger intertwined. Eventually, the judge stamps the papers. Just like that, a decade of marriage is reduced to final decrees and property agreements. I exit the courthouse, the sun glaring. I can't decide if I feel relief or total despair. Maybe both. A swirl of conflicting emotions churns in my gut. She stands across the courtyard, wearing a somber black dress, hair pulled tight. I catch her gaze for a moment. There's a reflection of heartbreak, something that mirrors my own. Then she turns and disappears into the crowd. Some months later, I find myself packing the last of my belongings in a half-empty house. I've sold it. Too many memories. A storm brews outside again, wind rattling the windows, reminding me of that night I first confronted her. The walls are stripped of pictures, boxes stacked in corners. It's an echo chamber now. My footsteps sound hollow on the hardwood floors. I pull one final box from the closet and open it. Photographs spill out. Wedding shots, vacations in Santa Fe, laughter at some family reunion. My stomach clenches. I gather them up, shoving them back into the box, wanting to close that chapter once and for all. At the bottom, I find the dried rose from her bouquet. Brittle, color faded. I run my fingers over the petals, and they crumble. I drop them back into the box and seal it. My phone buzzes. A text from my mother, asking if I'm okay. I send a brief reply. I'm fine. Moving on. She'll worry, but I'll handle that later. I look around the house one last time, remembering all the nights I spent here, all the illusions I nurtured. Then I kill the lights, lock the door, and walk away. Outside, the wind intensifies, stinging my face with the first drops of rain. I load the boxes into my car, climb in, and slam the door. The engine roars to life, and I pull out of the driveway without looking back. My heart is a storm of regret, guilt, and an odd sense of liberation. I loved her once, maybe a part of me always will, but that love is tainted beyond repair. The sky darkens, and rain lashes the windshield. I flip on the wipers, letting them beat a frantic tempo. My mind drifts to the future. I don't know what awaits me. The man I was is gone. The man I am now is forged from betrayal, heartbreak, and vengeance. Perhaps I'll rediscover hope somewhere down the line, a reason to trust again. But for now, I drive into the storm, feeling the rush of wind and water against the car. And in that howling darkness, I let out a raw, anguished cry, releasing every emotion pent up inside me. Lightning streaks across the horizon, thunder shaking the air. I realize, with a jolt, that my final revenge wasn't in humiliating her, though I did that. My final revenge was in burying what we had, all the beauty we built, and leaving her alone with the ashes. Silence can be the cruelest punishment. I keep driving, away from the house, away from the life I once thought was perfect. The storm rages, matching the turmoil in my heart. And even though I hate what she did, I hate what I became too. That's the ugly truth. In the end, we destroyed each other. And maybe that's what lingers the longest. The quiet knowledge that love, once broken, can never truly be pieced back together. So I drive forward, a single question echoing in my mind. Accident? No. Choice. I made my choice. She made hers. And there's no turning back.